Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. Uh, Happy New Month, Happy New Week, Happy New Day. I guess everything is new today. So, welcome to ATP Live Monday, and I'm just going to go and share the videos to all our various platforms. Welcome. Let me just try and do all the sharing and all the posting first, and then we can start. Okay. How has your day been? I hope you've had a beautiful and lovely day. Um, so you're welcome, whichever platform you're watching. Oh, good. I'm live in the page today. It's amazing. All right, let me just share the links to all the platforms and then we can start. And let me also pin it as well. Okay. Um, then let me also pin it in our groups. So just a minute. Uh, Again, happy new month to everybody. For those joining us on Instagram, Miss Maggie, is it not Maggie? You're welcome. Just bear with me. I'm just trying to share the videos first. Then we can start. And then the groups. Yeah. Okay, and then then the pinning. Mm. So welcome everyone. How has your day been? I hope you've had a lovely Monday. Monday is generally very busy, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. Um, this Monday, last week was our Children's Day in Nigeria, but obviously we are not happy. As Most of us are not happy because we our children in Oyo State that were kidnapped. Um, they are still in captivity with their teachers, and so that is something that is of everybody, I guess, to all of us pediatricians, everybody in Nigeria at this time. We are appealing to the government to help us to rescue our children. So normally our Children's Day we usually celebrate and we usually want the children to be happy on that day. But this particular 2026 is being a very sad Children's Day for us because some of our children are not where they should be, and it's really so sad that we will have such wicked people that will, want to do things like that and take children. People, there's a popular saying that the way you know how good a nation is how they treat their most vulnerable. Our children should never be part of all this political game or people. I don't understand why somebody wants to kidnap anyone in the first instance, but please, the children should be off limits. Children are in school to learn. They should be completely off limits. And so I'm appealing to the government, also appealing, I don't know whether the who knows, the kidnappers or the terrorists or whoever they are, if they are listening, please release the children. Release the children, no matter whatever grudge or whatever you're trying to achieve with all these things. The children should never be part of it. These are vulnerable children. These are our future tomorrow. I'm sure you also want to have your own children. So no matter how wicked or terrible you may be, please release the children and take out whatever grudges you may have. Please take it up with the government directly, but leave our children out of it. And so we are all calling on our government, we're calling on the president of Nigeria, we're calling on everybody who knows anything, who knows, whoever knows who should know anybody. Please, whatever we need to do, let's do it. Our children should come out of captivity. Our children should never have been kidnapped. Our children should never have been taken out of their schools. So it puts a downing on the children's day. And so every platform we have, we are calling on the government to please take our children, do everything you can and rescue the children. And I pray that God will open doors for the government, for our security agencies that are working to make sure that those children are released. And we are praying that those wicked souls that also kidnap the children, um, God will touch their hearts so that they will release the children. So thank you so much. Also, we did have some outreaches in some of the places. Lagos State had outreaches. We had outreaches in Kwara, and we thank all our donors, all our sponsors who have contributed to those outreaches. And we also want to thank all our volunteers for reaching our children. We can't even do many outreaches this year as well because this time around we're so worried. Actually, we our people in your state, I pray that everything will be resolved very soon. So thank you. Yes, thank you. For those of you who are praying, please keep praying. There's nothing God cannot do, and God will release our children. No child should die, and all those kidnappers, none of those children must die. None of them must die. None of them must be sick. So you better release them back to where you picked them up from, and go and find other ways to search whatever things you're looking for with the government. But please release the children. The children should never, never be part of that uh, bargain or whatever. We shouldn't be using children. I mean, that is the height of wickedness. Height of wickedness. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, okay. So, welcome to ATP Live. We are committed to the health and the welfare of our children. That's what we do here. And so, yes, thank you. Olorunmola, Kenny, Caroline said the Lord will bring them back this week. Amen. I believe as well that God will bring them back. Let's all just keep praying for our. Let's just pray that God will have His way and find a way of getting those children back. And our condolences to the family of the teachers that lost his life. And we pray that no more life will be lost and everybody else will come back. We want a country that is safe. We want a country where our children can walk to school and come back, without being scared or being kidnapped. That is not what should be. That is when we were growing up, we just play on the street. Nobody is worried about anything. So let's just keep praying and let's just hope our governments, God will help them to find solution to this terrorism, terrorism, whatever. Let's pray God will have His way. All right, but I'm here today to see what we do. If you have any questions about the health of your children, that is what actually I'm here to answer. So feel free to drop your questions. Apologies that I have to start on that note. Normally it should have been Children's Day. We should be celebrating. We should be doing parties for our children. That is what we should be doing last week, and not be down and not be upset about what is going on. But we believe that all things will be resolve very soon. So if you have any question about the health of your children for the next 1 hour, I'm here. Feel free to drop your questions and I will try and answer them. Remember that even after the live session, you can go to our Facebook group. You can post your questions there from Mondays to Saturdays, and we will be able to answer your questions. And if you want to learn most of the things we've talked about, question we've answered, all our past videos are there. We encourage you to watch them. Watch our YouTube channel, watch our podcast. If you want to learn more about health of children, you can also read things on our website as well. So thank you so much. This program is brought to you by Atp Pediatricians Foundation, and for the past 10 going to 11 years, we've been online and offline trying to save our children. We don't want our children dying from preventable causes. So we do that through our online platforms, health education, health information, supporting parents, and we also do that offline through our community medical outreaches. We've done outreaches in all the states in Nigeria. So we've been to several schools, we've done a lot of work, and we want to still do more. And we want our children to be safe. We want our children to live. We don't want our children to die. So that's what we do on ATP. So ATP Live Monday is just one of our programs where you get to ask any questions that you have about the health of your children, and we will answer them. And I was just doing an interview for Facebook this past week, and one of the questions they asked is, I mean, what makes us unique? How do we get people to trust us? Because ATP is one platform that you know that the answer you get is not like any other platform. This is where you get answers from the health professionals that you can rely on. I know a lot of mothers, we have expressed on so many platforms on social media, and I see some of the answers. Some of them, sincerely want to help us, but sometimes they get us more confused. But one thing we promise is that what you get from our own platform is evidence-based health information that you can rely on, because obviously health issues is not a democracy of opinion. It is something, you can be sincere and be sincerely wrong, and that can be costly when it comes to health. If it comes to things like cars or house, or then you can always replace them, but we can't replace the life of our children. So it is important that we make sure that we have the right information. And we know that parents, carers, guardians, we are very important stakeholders when it comes to children living and not dying. So this is why we are investing in supporting parents to know what to do. All our parents, we love our children, so we want them to be okay. But sometimes when we don't have the right information, we can make mistakes. So that is what ATP exists for. So you can always ask the pediatricians, and we are always your um how do I call it, like we're always there by your side to support you in making sure your children are ill and healthy. All right, got a question for you from welcome. All right, been a while. Say good evening, nice to have you again. Yes, I've always been here. I didn't disappear, but sometimes when I go on StreamYard, it puts the video in the events page. There's a way it does it, so that at the end of the day you won't see it on the group. So I noticed that always causes a problem. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but I'm happy today that it takes you straight to the page, which is quite good. All right, so say you're 1 year 2 months old, haven't said any word, but she listens to instruction, babbles, but no mama and dada or any word at all. It's all well. Usually by the age of 1 year, we expect the children to start saying at least a few single words, maybe 1 to 3 single words. So, but then your baby is just on 1 year. So most of the time, even if you go to a speech therapist at this time, we can't do much. We will just give it time. First, we want to be sure that the child can hear, and you seem to think the child can hear because you said the child is listening to instruction. But for us, we actually want to be certain the child can hear. So it is not enough to say the child is listening. Is the child able to follow instruction? Like if you call the child's name, will the child turn to their name? If you tell them to go and get their shoe or get, just one word instruction, get your shoe, get your plate or something like that, is the child able to follow that instruction? If the child is able to do that, then we know that the child can hear, and that is fine. But if the child is not able to do that, then we want you to do a hearing test first, because when it comes to talking, the first thing is that we have to be sure the child can hear. So the first thing you want to do is to make sure that the child can hear. So you may want to check up on that first. And we can do hearing tests. Hearing test is available. Ideally, all our children should be able to should have what we call hearing tests even when they were born. We have what we call newborn hearing screen in most developed countries. It's not yet in Nigeria. It's available in Nigeria in private, but you have to pay for it. But it's not yet part of the government initiative. That's what I meant. But if you want to do it, you can get newborn hearing screen done even in Nigeria. So if the child can hear, then we know that it's a matter of time the child will talk. We just encourage talk to the child. When you speak to children, don't speak too long sentences. Try and reduce your words to 1 or 2 words as well, because that's the level they have. So unfortunately, sometimes most of us parents, for our children who are not yet talking, we speak to them like we speak to adults. We're speaking long, long lines. We are asking questions because we expect them to answer. No, just give them one word at a time, 1 or 2 words. You can call the name of the child. You can say, if you're giving them like their shoes, you say shoe. Giving them biscuits, say biscuit. You just say the word to them. Don't worry, but don't force them to repeat it, but just so that they begin to associate the word with the item. So that's what we recommend. You said she gets her shoes. Okay, so she's able to follow instruction. Yeah, if she's able to follow instruction, at least we assume the child can hear. So if the child can hear, just keep playing with the child, keep speaking to them, and that's it. And just give them time. If by the age of 2 the child is still not talking, then you definitely need to see the speech therapist at that point. So the child may benefit from speech therapy, or if there are other issues, because some children also may have other developmental issues. Children may have autism, all sorts of things can. So at that point, they may need to see a developmental pediatrician. But we just give them a little bit of time first. And some children are a little bit slower talking, some children are a little bit fast. But as long as by the age of 2 the child is talking, that's fine. But if by the age of 2 the child is still not talking, then that is when I would recommend seeing a speech therapist. We don't have many speech therapists in Nigeria, but we do have a few. And so if you just put it in speech therapist near me, if you put that in a search engine online, you may be able to get somebody who can assess the child. But usually at this age, we'll still give them a little bit of time and see how it goes. On our Facebook group, we have the guide session, and in that guide session, we have one of them that talks about how to promote your child's language development. So if you may want to check up on that and look at the resources we put together there, like things you can do as a parent to, get your child language developed. So lots of resources there. You may want to check it out. They are not rocket science. Most of the time it's just playing with the child, talking with the child, giving the child choices, and giving the child time sometimes to say things and all that. So you may want to check up on that. Most of speech therapists have put those kind of resources online as well. You can look at some of them and you can begin to practice some of those things for now, before you may not get to the point where you may need to see a speech therapist. So that is that. So welcome for those who are just joining us. Welcome to TP Live Monday. If you have any questions about the health of your children, feel free to drop your question in the comment section. If you're watching on Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube, just drop your question directly in the comments and I will say it. If you're watching on our groups, if you're watching on Super Parent Foundation, you're watching on Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group, any of the groups, you have to click on the video so that if you want to ask questions, if you don't have any question, you can keep watching the video, in the groups and you don't need to click anything. But if you have questions, you have to click on the video so that it will take you to the page and you can drop your question directly on the under the comments in the under the video in the comment section, because that's the only way I will see the questions in this studio. Otherwise, your question will be in the group, but I won't be able to see it. And I know sometimes some of us do that. So just remember, if you're in the groups, click on the video so that you will get to the page and you can drop your questions directly under the page. We used to be able to live stream straight into the groups, but Facebook has stopped that. So that is why you have to click on the video to see to be able to drop your comments in the under the video directly. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. For those who since I don't have any question yet, I will continue to talk a little bit more. Okay, I think there's still more question from Informa. You said that your 3-year-old seem to be struggling with writing. Writing is not really something we're worried about in 3 years old. I know the teachers are always giving them all this homework, which is absolutely unnecessary, to be honest. Most of the time, we want 3 years old to just play. We want them to, most 3 years can just do a circle. That's all they can do. They are not yet even at the age of doing much of writing. So I'm definitely not going to be worried about a 3-year-old writing. I want a 3-year-old to be talking, speaking at least 3 word sentences. And I want a 3-year-old to be able to play together with other children, what we call cooperative play, imaginative play, those kind of role play. I'm a doctor pretending to treat their dolls, and things like that. Those are the things we expect from 3-year-olds. We don't expect them to be saddled with writing homework. This is the time we expect them to be exploring the environment, interacting with people. Those are the kind of things 3 years old should be doing, not writing homeworks or reciting things and all that. No, we don't expect that. Because to be honest, at that age they are preschool, so they are supposed to be in what we call play groups. So real school work, when we talk about school aging children, it's actually from the age of 6. That is the pediatrician's definition of school age is 6 years old. I know that most of us put our children in school before the age of 6, and we have the preschool, we have the nursery and all that. Yeah, but real school work is from 6. Before then, it's preschool. And by this age, 2, 3 is more like play group. They should just play. They don't need any uh, too much academic. We want them to develop their skills, but not the academic writing and all those kind of memorizing things and all that. No, that's not what is expected from 3-year-olds. Most of those homework that the nursery school teachers give those children, they're actually giving to you, the parents, not the children themselves. So I really won't want you to worry about it. Um, you said his teacher said that is behind. Do I worry or give him time? It depends on what the teacher meant by he is behind. So I like I said, for us as pediatricians, at this age, we're looking at developments. We are not looking at anything academic per se. What we do is what we call the developmental assessment for the 3-year-old. So what do I expect from a 3-year-old? A 3-year-old should be walking, should be running, should be able to jump, and yeah, maybe pedal a tricycle that has a stabilizer. So that's what I expect from the gross motor function for a 3-year-old. uh we, in terms of use of their hands, we expect them obviously to be able to hold a pen, pencil, and draw a cycle. That's all. A 3-year-old should be able to copy a cycle. That's all we expect from a 3-year-old. They can build blocks up to 9 tower blocks and all that. So, and of course, in terms of the language, they should be speaking 3 to 4 word sentences, and those speech, a 3-year-old speech should be clear 80% of the time to people around them. A 3-year-old should be maybe potty trained, at least in the daytime, Some of them still need some nappies, pull-ups at night, but at least daytime should be dry, and a 3-year-old should be playing, should have interaction with other children. Usually at this age, they start to have a best friend. They may start to know a few colors. Those are the things we expect from 3-year-olds. So if a 3-year-old is doing all that, for me, there's nothing like 3-year-old is behind. So that's why I said that for the teachers, you need to ask them specifically what they meant. And when they say behind, I'm not talking of the child because of what they expect the child to be doing that may not be age appropriate, or maybe they're giving them some work that they want other children to be doing that. No, so we don't compare the child to other children. We compare the child to what is the normal, what do we expect for the child's age. So that's what I meant. So if you are I can't, because this is a back and forth session. I mean, it's not a really like a consultation. So if you are okay with your child's development, I would say you don't need to worry. But if you're also like you are not, you have some concerns yourself as a mom, then you may want to see a pediatrician, preferably a developmental pediatrician, and let them just do a quick assessment of the child. But number one, I won't want you to pressure the child. And I just, like I said, 3-year-olds, most of them ideally should be home and just playing. They don't really need all this long stretch of schools, people putting children in school from 8 to 4. 3-year-olds, absolutely unnecessary. They shouldn't be more than 3 hours in school. And then they should be home and they should just play. They should actually spend more time bonding with their parents, bonding with their family members. That is what you expect for 3-year-olds. Not spending the whole day in a four wall of a classroom. So so you may want to have a meeting with the school teacher to really know what exactly is she asking the child to do that the child is not doing, that she thinks the child is behind. Then you can now compare whether is that age appropriate or not, and then we can take it up from there. Okay. All right, I got a question from Blessing Isioma. You said, "Good day, prolific doctor." Wow, thank you for the compliment. Can I give my 1-year-old warm medicine? Yes, the answer is yes, you can. We expect you to start deworming. I'm assuming you are in Nigeria. You expect, because that question is not general. It's not the same for every part of the world. So there are some questions we answer for some part of the world. There are some questions that are not the same. So the World Health Organization have some designated some places what they call warm infested or endemic areas. So there are places where we are prone to having worm infestation. Nigeria is one of them. So those countries where worm infestation is quite rampant or is quite an issue, um, we recommend routine deworming of the children from the age of 1 year, because when the children they start walking and they start eating fruits and eating other food, they are exposed to those worms and they ingest the worms, and some of the worms, they can take a lot of the food that the child should be eating and getting weight. They will kind of suck all the nutrients, and so that child may get malnourished. Some of them may suck the blood of the children, especially those ones that penetrates by the children walking barefooted in the rural area or in the farm area. So the children's blood level may drop. They may have anemia, iron deficiency anemia, and sometimes the worms, if there are so many, they can actually block the intestines and cause what we call intestinal obstruction. Yes, that the child will even need operation for acute abdomen. So these are things that worms can do. So you can imagine that worms can really, as small as they are, they can cause a lot of problems. So how do we deal with that is by making sure that we deworm the children, because worms have a life cycle. Most of the time, what the children ingest is the egg or the spores of the worms, so not the real worms. But when they get into the tummy, they hatch and then they begin to multiply. So what we normally do by deworming is to give children worm medicine that will clear out all those eggs and spores, and quickly clear them out before they begin to cause any havoc. So it is recommended that children are dewormed from the age of 1 year and we deworm them every 6 months. I know some parents do it every 3 months or every school term, but what we recommend is actually twice a year, every 6 months. If you do it more often, no problem. It doesn't mean anything is going to happen to the child. It's just that twice a year is enough. And that is deworming, or what we call prophylactic. You are trying to prevent the child from having worm infestation. But if you deworm your child, or you give worm medicine and the child actually passed out worms, then that means the child is already having worm infestation. In that case, we actually need to treat the child. So there's a prevention kind of deworming, and there's also a treatment kind of deworming. So the treatment kind of deworming, we actually give the worm medicine for like 3 days, and then after 2 weeks we repeat it again. Whereas for the one I'm talking about, where you are just trying to prevent the child from having worm infestation, that one is just once. You give the child the medicine once, and then you repeat it in 6 months. So like when we do our outreaches, we always deworm the children, because some children don't get dewormed regularly. And I know sometimes some of our first ladies and the local government chairman, they do all this deworming campaign and exercises. Is something good. And if you go to the health center, they also will tell you, if you go for immunization when your child is about 1 year, they tell you also to deworm. So it is good to deworm the children. If you live in Nigeria, if you live in any of the African countries or any of the parts of the world that has been designated endemic for worm infestation, that is, we have high prevalence of people getting worm infestation, yes, you should deworm. For people who live in US, UK, places where it is not common for you to have worms, most of the children, they don't play in the farm, and they don't have worms as such, so they don't routinely deworm their children. But in Nigeria, yes, we routinely deworm our children, and we try to make it either part of immunization or other things that, when you go for to the health center for other things, they try to remind you to do the deworming. So it's okay. And in terms of what drugs do you do for deworming, the deworming medication is something you can buy over the counter. There are many of them. We have albendazole is the most common one that we tend to recommend. Albendazole is available either as liquid or tablets, and the dose from age of 2 years old to adults is the same dose. It's 400 milligrams. So if you buy the liquid and it is 400 milligram in 20 mils, you will give the child everything. But for the 1 year old, you give half of it. So if it's a 400 milligram liquid, everything is 20 mils and it's 400 milligram. For the 1 year old, you give them 20 mils. That is 200 milligram. So that's what we give to the 1 year old. But if for the 2 year old, and even yourself up to you as an adult, it's the same dose. You give them 400 milligram at once. That is a deworming dose. But if you are using other things like combantrin, the dose is different. But you can always ask your pharmacist. It's also written on the it will be written on the leaflet inside the medication, but it's something you can buy over the counter. You don't need a doctor prescription to deworm your child. You don't need doctor prescription to buy worm expellers. So you can just buy it and then ask the pharmacist what quantity to give, and they will tell you. Or if you ask us on ATP, we'll also tell you as well. Okay, so that is about worms and worm expeller. Um, okay, I don't seem to have any question on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, feel free to ask your question. I hope nobody's question has run off when I was still talking about when I was on Facebook. But if you have any question, feel free to post your questions and we will answer them. And if after the live session you still have any question, remember you can go to our Facebook group, Ask the Paediatrician Facebook group, and you can post your questions there, and we'll try and answer them, when we can. Okay, for my say here, so should a cough and runny nose that has lasted for 2 weeks with no fever still be viral, or we should see a doctor? Is 3 years old. Most cough and catarrh without fever, like you said, are usually due to viral infections, and most of them will take up to 2 weeks to clear. So I will not worry about it. And then there are some of them that are not due to viral infection. Some of them are allergies. Some children are allergic to certain things. So some children with allergies, they tend to have the cough and catarrh on and off, on and off, on and off. It's almost like their nose is never dry. And so sometimes it is allergy. For allergy, what we try to do is to avoid the triggers. So sometimes the smoke, sometimes it's the dust, sometimes it is maybe a particular perfume or a particular food. So if it is a child that's always constantly having wet nose, constantly sneezing, constantly, what we call allergic salute, they're always constantly going like that. Um, you may want to figure out why is there something allergic that they're supposed to. And for those ones, we do give them some medications to limit the allergic reaction. So that is, for this one you can see a doctor, because we have anti-allergy medication, not Puritan, but there's one that we can give them that is not sedative, something that they can use every day, and like ketotifen and all this kind of stuff. We can give it to them and they will take it. It's not sedative, doesn't make them sleep, but it will reduce the tendency to keep having the allergy. So it's not every cough and catarrh that is just viral infection. Some of them may be associated with allergic conditions, and if we can figure out um the trigger, like what is the child allergic to, and avoid it. So those kind of houses, you don't want to use rugs, you want to use carpet, something that you can quickly mop, or like floor, wooden floor, something that you can mop. So those are the kind of floor you want to use, and that may be the solution. And you want to avoid sprays, all these mosquito coil, all these insecticide sprays. You may want to avoid them in those kind of places as well. Even perfumes that parents use sometimes our children are allergic to them. So you just want to figure out what is that allergic to, and you can avoid it. But if you're doing all that and the child is still constantly having cough, sneezing, runny nose, then you may want to see a doctor, because we may need to put the child on anti-inflammatory drugs. We have to give them something that they can be using regularly to reduce their tendency to have those allergic symptoms. But if it's just viral infection, most of them will resolve within 2 weeks, and you don't need to come to us. But if you come to us as well, yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's what I will say about that. Since it's just 2 weeks, I would say just give it time, watch it, and then you can now see how it goes. Okay, you said that he most times have cough and catarrh when he resumes school. Yes, that is typical. That is typical, because when children go back to school, everybody's coming with their viruses, and school environment is a very easy area for cough and catarrh to spread, because it's a, what we call airborne. So each child is coughing, they are sneezing, each cough, each sneeze, they are releasing like millions of those viruses and germs into the air, and other children are inhaling it as well. So that is why children tend to have cough and catarrh once the school resume, because they are exposed to other children who have it. And some children are a little bit vulnerable. Once they are exposed, they come down with cough and colds easily. So what we recommend is that when a child is coughing, having all those viral infection, they should stay home so that they don't infect other children. But we parents, we want to go to work, you don't want to stay at home with the child, so we always bring them to schools, and so they keep reinfecting each other. So it's almost like a vicious cycle. So sometimes for young children like that 3 year old, if they keep having it out, so just keep the child at home. There's no point the child going to school to just be catching respiratory infections. Actually, in that age, some children are really very prone to easily catching all those acute respiratory infections. Just keep them home. But as they get older, then they may be able to resist it better. Good evening, Gifted. You're welcome. Okay, Agunloye Olubumi. Good evening. My clock 1 year today. I think your son or somebody clock 1 year Your daughter, okay, she clocked 1 year today. Can I deworm her? Yes. I don't know whether you were here when I was answering the question on deworming. I think maybe you mixed that part, but I actually have answer this question in details. Yes, you can deworm from the age of 1 year, and you can deworm every 6 months. Okay, can I start giving her tea? You can if you want to. I don't know why parents are so eager to give the children tea. Tea is not really like something important really to for children, to be honest. So but it's okay to give it to them from the age of 1 year. You can give your chocolate beverage and all the tea as well, but please make sure that is not the only thing you're giving them, because that's another problem. Then children will now want to drink tea all the time and you don't want to eat food. So please balance, moderation key. So don't just be filling the tummy with tea and tea morning, day and night, and then they won't want to eat proper food. It's okay for them to have maybe like breakfast, tea, 1 cup, or maybe at night, cocoa before they go to bed, have them sleep. That's fine, but not like every second they want to drink tea. I just feel like you put that disclaimer. On switching you got, yeah, the child can take on switching you got even from the age of 6 months. That is fine. Birth weight is 4 kilos. It was quite big. Current weight is 10 kilos. That is normal. And the weight is not too much. 10 kilos is actually the weight of an average 1 year old. That is the average weight of a 1 year old on the dot. So your baby's weight is perfect. So that is not too much. The baby started big, but it's okay. The 10 kilo is absolutely appropriate and spot on. So yeah, you can give your 1 year old any food. Your child can eat any food that you eat. So that is the short answer to all the questions you've asked for the 1 year old. All the food that you can eat as a mom, your 1 year old can eat it. And ideally, you should be eating from the same pot, with the what we call the household pot. So you don't need to worry, and then you can start to warm them. All right, Gifted is saying if a child is crawling with the stomach, can the child still crawl with the knee? Okay, yeah, you can just let me know the age of the child. Gifted, I think I always want to know the age of the child. Okay, that is 8 months old, and that's better. So yeah, so 8 months old, there's nothing like crawling with the tummy. You just mean the child is moving. Children can move, they can roll. Those ones we don't call them crawling. Crawling is actually when they go on all their fours, so they crawl with their hands and their legs. So that is the proper crawling. They are on all four. So any other thing before that time is not strictly crawling. But crawling is actually not a big deal for us. We don't even worry at all about crawling, because some children don't crawl at all. Some children don't crawl at all, and that is perfectly okay. They just go from sitting to standing and walking. So some children will completely skip crawling. And for children that will crawl, most of them crawl around that 9 months. So your baby is 8 months. So I'm not worried at all. Not worried at all about crawling in this 8 months old. So an average child will crawl at 9 months. And then some children don't crawl. And some children actually do what we call bottom shuffling. So they don't crawl, they move with their bum. They will be in a sitting position and then just be moving forward with their bum shuffling. So they move on the bum, they don't crawl on their hands and their knees. So that's another variety, of this same crawling. But like I said, some children don't even do it at all. So I'm not worried at all about your baby not yet crawling at 8 months. The baby can still crawl at 9 months. That's the average age for crawling. So you don't need to worry at all about it. So I know sometimes parents will worry about all these developmental milestones. No, the most important thing for us is that the child's development is not static. So some children are a little bit faster, some children are a little bit slower, but the most important thing is that they will get there when they get there. So you don't have to worry about milestones in children as long as they don't remain on the same level. That is number one. Number two, there are, in as much as what I've said, there are also like cutoff age at which it will worry us if the child is not doing something. So we have cutoff ages, and that is the one that we want you to worry about. For example, most children achieve neck control by 3 months. But if your child doesn't have neck control by 4 months, I will worry about it. So no neck control at 4 months, you should see a pediatrician. No sitting at 9 months. So most children will sit between 5 to 6 months with support, sit without support 7 to 8 months. So that is the average. So, but by the time the child is getting to 9 months old, which is the age we expect them to start crawling, and they are not yet even sitting, then I will worry about it as a pediatrician. And then, like I said, crawling is not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker at all. Some children don't just crawl, but if your child is not walking by 18 months, so try and remember 4 months, 9 months, 18 months. Those are the key ones that pediatricians look out for. We want the child, if the child doesn't have neck control at 4 months, it is something you have to see a pediatrician for. If the child is not sitting without support at 9 months, you should see a pediatrician. And if the child is not walking by 18 months, you should see a pediatrician. So those are the cutoff ages for, at least for the gross muscle one. The language one is a little bit more, tricky. But if your child is not talking at all by 2 years, you should definitely see a speech therapist. And then we can take it up from there. Potty training, again, some children do it early, some a little bit later, but usually by 3 years, most children are dry during the day. You know, the night time can be a little bit longer, and we won't worry about it until they are 5 years and they are still bedwetting and all that. So those are just a few of the cutoff ages, but otherwise there's a wide variation in between. So we pediatricians, we are always waiting at the final tail end, so we give the children a lot of room. So most children will work at 1 year, but if they are not working at all by 18 months, then we begin to worry that something is definitely wrong, and that is when we want to get into this story. Okay. Gifted said she can see, she have neck control and two teeth. Yeah, your child is doing well. I, like I said, I don't have any concern at all about this child at all. And even the crawling is too early for you to be concerned. Like I said, even if the child is going to crawl, it's from 9 months. So just relax and don't be in a hurry. The children will get there when they get there. I know parents, we want them to do everything fast, 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 fast. No, everybody do things at their own time. So just give them that time. I've told you when to come and see us as pediatricians. So before that time, just let the baby be. And we have an article on our website on developmental milestones, how to know whether your child's development is on course. So you can always check that out, and that is it. So otherwise, we're fine with your baby. If you want to go into the smaller details, there's more, but we just want the big ones. And if the children are not doing the big ones at the age we expect them to, that is when we want you to come. Otherwise, just there's wide variation. Like there's enough room for every child to get to where they are going at their own pace. So we don't hurry them along. So I hope that will reassure you. Okay. Okay, Gita, you said what causes scabies? Number one, scabies is a diagnosis, is a skin condition. I always don't. I'm always skeptical about people making those diagnoses on their own, because people sometimes miss up things. So, but scabies is like it's an infestation. It's like how do I explain it now? It's a tiny microorganism that can get into the skin and causes all those burrowing and all that. So and it's something. So it's a it just like I'm trying to look for just like saying what causes lice in the hair of children. So those are things that get into the hair. That is the same thing with scabies. It's something that gets into the skin. It's a little bit of like a mite. It's a particular small tiny microorganism that can get into the skin, and it's very contagious. So if a child has scabies, other family members may quickly get it as well. So when we treat scabies, we treat not only the child, we will have to treat even all the beddings, and everything has to be washed and then treated and repeated after 2 weeks as well. So that has to be done. So there are anti-scabies like lotions that you use, and wash and to kind of treat it. And it's usually it's permethrin is available over the counter as well, and so you can ask for that, but make sure that diagnosis is correct, because sometimes people just make all these diagnoses on assumptions and it's not really correct. So make sure the diagnosis is absolutely correct first, and that is that. Um, Yeah, so yeah, there's a anti-scabies lotion that is available. If you go to the pharmacies, if you go to your pharmacist or go to a pharmacy store and ask them, they will be able to give it to you. And then, like I said, is everybody has to be treated, and the beddings have to be treated as well. And then you repeat it in 2 weeks, because it takes a while for it to be able to clear it out and all that, but it's treatable. And what we normally recommend, hygiene is very important. Hygiene and all that. That is very key. It's very itchy, and you see the children. It's this is what we call it, bro. It's a very, there's a way you look when you see the skin lesion. It's very easy for doctors to be able to diagnose it, and we have the anti-scabies lotion that you will apply all over the skin, and then you wash off and then repeat it again in 2 weeks and all that. So it's treatable, and something over the counter. It's something you can buy by yourself from the pharmacy. It's not always readily available, but you can ask them. Most of them do have it, or they may have an alternative as well. So that's for the scabies. I don't know what I don't have a picture of that I'm showing you, but the only thing when it comes to skin condition is I always want you to confirm it first, because people tend to make a lot of assumptions or diagnosis, and they may be wrong. There are a lot of things that look like each other when it comes to skin conditions, that they are different. They are not the same. And so even sometimes, even was doctor, sometimes you want to seek opinion from your dermatologist or other colleagues. So, which is why I'm always very reluctant about parents making diagnoses of like measles, scabies, all those kind of skin conditions. Sometimes we mess them up, even fungal infections. So I always recommend getting it assessed by a doctor first, and that is appropriate. All right. So thank you. Don't know whether there's any other questions. Instagram people are extremely quiet today, and nobody is here from Instagram to ask questions, so that's fine. But remember that if you still have any questions, you can always post your questions to our Facebook group from Mondays to Saturdays. We are not available on Sundays, but every other day we are there for you. Okay, gifted. Yeah, are you a first time mom? Today's your own day for asking questions, so it's okay. I'm not complaining. But when people ask questions back to back, I wonder whether they are first time mom. Okay, is it bad to give baby pure water? That's a very good question, and I like to answer that. So it depends on what is pure water. In Nigeria, most people use pure water to refer to this water that has been sealed in a sachet, 500 mils or thereabouts. um the challenge with that is that people have done research. I remember when I was in Luton, and they actually take all these pure water samples and they go and test it in the lab. You'll be shocked. Most people don't ideally, the idea was that those pure water people should sterilize the water and then pack it properly. Many of them don't do that. I'm telling you, some people just fetch the water from anywhere, well or borehole, and they just packed it. And so you can never be sure what is pure in Nigeria. Of course, I know there are some good people who who make sure they do the proper water sterilization, and they use proper equipment and proper packaging and all that. So there are people like that, but the research has been done, and they found out that more than 50% of those pure water, most of them are contaminated, most of them were not sterilized. And I'm sure you've watched videos where they've shown where people were making this so-called pure water, because it was a very profitable business at one time in Nigeria like that. Everybody was just fetching water and bottling it, and all they just need to do is buy a sealing machine. So personally, as a pediatrician, I don't trust any pure water unless I know where it was made from. So I don't. So yeah, because of that, I will recommend that you take ownership for your child's well-being by boiling your child's water. It's very easy to sterilize water. It's very easy. You don't need to buy pure water. You can boil your water for 5 minutes. That will sterilize it. Or you can use any of these chemical sterilization. So like water guard, if you put like 50 liters, there's an amount to pour into it and leave it, and that's chlorine. It will sterilize the water, and that water will be drinkable. If you have access to government tap water, so water from water works, and you're sure it didn't, because they sterilize the water as well, so it will get to you in a pure potable, we'll call it potable water that is drinkable. That is fine. But if you're just buying pure water, you don't know the company, you don't know how reliable they are, I will not give a child that kind of pure water. You can buy the pure water, but boil it, at least do your own part of it, or use water guard. Or if you want, you can buy bottled water from all these companies, but of course that's more expensive. So instead of giving yourself all these unnecessary expenditures, just your normal water from your tap, from your borehole, just boil it, and that's it. Or save it, boil it, and or use water guard. Then you've done it yourself, and so the water you're giving your child is actually clean and pure, because otherwise the so-called pure water, most of them are not pure. I tell you, most of them are not. So I'd rather you boil the water or use water guard. At least you know what you're doing. Actually, for the drinking water, that's the one you need to do. For the water you use for cooking, most of the time, because you are cooking, and most of us in Nigeria, we cook our food on fire. So by the time you boil and cook and all that, all the germs would have died. But for pure water, you can never be too sure. We have a lot of corruption in our system, so we can't always guarantee people are doing the right thing. Even the so-called bottled water, we've seen places where people will go and get bottles of all these reputable companies, and they just bottle nonsense into them, and then they sell it, just because they want to make money. And I'm sure NAFDAC and the rest of them have been catching up. You would think, oh, this is from all these big names. I don't want to do adverts for any company, and you would think you can. I don't. It's better you boil your own water and rely on your water that you have sterilized yourself. Then you are safe. So that's just what I would say about that. Okay. And children don't need to drink like hot water or something. I don't know whether I saw a question like that. Just normal water is fine. Okay. All right. I think I got 3 minutes left and I'm on my way out. But if you still have questions or you're just coming online, welcome, welcome. Happy new month, happy new week, happy new day. But if you have any questions still, please go to our Facebook group and you can post your questions there, and that will be fine. So that is it. All right. Thank you so, so much for joining me today. And I will see you again next week by God's grace. I don't really have much time to do for doing any teaching, and I don't want to start in the middle. Hopefully, I'll be able to. I think I will start doing more teachings from next week as well. But thank you so much for those of you who come, Gifted, Ifoma, and the rest. And for those who are on Instagram listening, I saw you, even though you are not asking questions. So thank you so much for joining. I hope you've learned something as well. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. And it is bye bye from me. Bye bye.